Welcome everyone, this is your OG, Original Gamer, and this is a Godforge video. Today, we'll be providing commentary on Simon's response to the community's questions, and we'll be sharing an early look at the current speed meta in Godforge, while also getting behind the scenes with Fateless. Without further ado, let's play smarter.
Hey guys, this is Simon from Fateless. Today we're going to be doing a community Q&A answering session. So we basically reached out to all of the guys in our Discord community and said, what are the big hitter questions you want answered? What would you like to understand about Godforge? And I will do my best to answer, I guess, anything that I can, right? So there's going to be some stuff where I'm still going to be a little bit on the fence, but generally I'm going to be answering as much as I can.
All right, so here we are giving reaction to Simon's answers to the questions that the community has posed to him. We're going to go through that very quickly. We're also going to provide some information on current speed meta towards the end of this video, so make sure that you stick around for that. Always important to remember, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying it, turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our comprehensive Godforge coverage. Like I said, speed meta to come, who's number one, who's the fastest champ, did we just find our first champ in need of a buff? We're going to talk about that. Also, don't miss out on OG Says. This is where I give recommendations on clans, private lobbies, and even the idea of having a test server incorporated into the game for players to test any champ or combinations of champs against stock waves so that people get excited about the champion who might be yours and who is in your bucket list. We're also going to talk about OG's bucket list and which characters, champions you are absolutely going to want to have. And last but certainly not least, listen all the way through this video as your OG makes some pretty bold predictions as to what the secret sauce is to beat Godforge content. How could I know that already? Stick around, we'll talk more about it. So here, Simon is just answering questions. He's also clicking through his account and showing different characters. So we can learn a lot from that, and we'll dive into it now. I love the lore, I love the storytelling, but as much as I love that, the devil is in the details. And so we're going to look at some of these details, and we are going to break that down for you. So one of the things I want to kind of call real quick back here, if you look at the start screen, up in the left corner, his character, Hell Hades, is going as King Arthur. He's level 7. So imagine you built a game. How much play testing do you think you would do on your personal game that you're super excited about? Probably a lot, right? So he's playtesting, he's playtesting. He's only at level 7. That tells us a little something. Maybe he's reset it, or maybe Fateless is taking a page, learning a little something from Raid, in that Raid's progression is very fast. Initially, you can go 0 to 30, 40 levels in hours and days versus weeks and months. So I think what I'm seeing here is that Godforge is flattening the progression arc so that it's more sustainable, long lasting. You're probably it's gonna take you some time to get to level 10, 15, 30, 50. 100 is gonna take a long time. Hopefully it looks like that might be the case. We might be overreaching on our assumptions, but I think what I see there, and I'm going to talk more about this later in the video, but it's a deliberate effort I see on Fateless's part to start pushing down on power creep from the very beginning. They're pushing down value to the rares and the epics in a way that other games maybe hadn't. I think that is going to make the game progression last longer, be more rewarding. And it seems to be a multi-pronged approach on Fateless's part to combat that power creep literally from the minute the game launches. Again, we'll touch on this later in the video, but really exciting to see. Another piece I wanted to call out on the screen is over Simon's left shoulder. Looks like the Hall of Divine or something of Divine. I call this out because we're going to make a prediction as to how you can really get ahead in this game. And from our analysis, awakening your champions looks to give you 100 initial divinity. What does that mean? What does that matter? Why? Well, you need to reach a certain divinity level to be able to use your ultimate. And that is the ultimate reason you would have that champion, is that ultimate. And you would build teams where you can use ultimates and then string or chain ultimates together. That seems to be, in my opinion, sort of maybe Simon's baby that he's created, and that is going to be a huge piece to beating content that seems otherwise impossible. You're going to have to chain your ultimates together. Why is your divinity and your initial divinity important? Well, if your initial divinity is 0 or your initial divinity is 100, which is what you get when it's fully 6-star awakened from what we've seen, then you start the fight being able to use your ultimate at your discretion, which now gives you the flexibility and the freedom to start looking at how to chain those and how to do the most damage. So I really think the divinity and the awakening is going to be a massive part to building your account. Of course, there'll be masteries and things of that nature as well, but I really see the awakening being important because in this video, you're going to see Simon testing these characters fully awakened, 6-star, but no gear on them. And you could tell he's trying to test out the ultimates and how those work, how quickly you get your ultimate, what is that ultimate's cost. We don't know that per se for every character. We don't even know if 100% initial divinity or 100 initial divinity is 100% initial divinity, or if divinity goes above 100. And what we've seen is that characters gain divinity based off of their class. If they are a damage dealer, then they gain divinity by dealing damage. If they're a healer, they gain divinity by healing. So using them in their appropriate use case gives you that divinity increase, and then there's an ultimate cost that you have to reach in order for that ultimate to be usable. You want to have your ultimates usable as quick as possible so that you can work out better strategies for chaining them and creating damage that is greater than just an individual attack. So he talks, one of the biggest news pieces here, and I also watched the podcast with Ash, was the change to the beta. So initially, we were going to be given entry into the actual game and be able to play a few levels in every area and things of that nature. But Simon makes a really smart point. It gives away the story. You can't untell the story. You can't get people to be surprised by a twist or anything on a second run through. So they really just didn't want to waste the amazing storyline that they have on the beta and then have to, in essence, create another one or create more when they do the global launch. So I think this is a very smart move on their part. They're now going with a standalone tower challenge model. And that is really interesting. It's a great pivot in my perspective on their part. It keeps the Godforge world small so they can control variables and learn faster. You will be able to gain, you the gamer will be able to gain your knowledge base. You'll be able to understand, the physics of the game and how it works, what bosses do what, and what champions are, seem to be good at countering them. So that's all very important. None of what you do in the beta is going to transfer resource-wise or accomplishment-wise to the actual game, although hopefully there's some other benefits that they're talking about in terms of art and sort of prestige with having your name, on the leaderboards and things of that nature. That's going to be what you're looking to gain in terms of currency. And then when you get started, then it's going to be all for real. They are going with a phased approach, about 50 folks in the first wave. My guess, as background in software release management, probably every 2 to 4 weeks, depending on the length of their sprints, if they're agile, we would expect a new beta wave. So as long as things are going well, we should see an increase in the population. If that first wave is 50, the second wave should be 10x to that, 250, 500, then possibly the third wave of 1,000, then 5,000, 10,000. Once we cross certain thresholds, it's really easy to see, okay, we have a stable environment, we have stable code. Of course, there's always a stabilization period after every launch of code. Usually like a week after, you do an immediate fix patch or update for bugs that came out of the release. And then about another 6 to 8 weeks later, you're doing a bug patch for more systemic or more like trends that show a little bit more difficult, fix. But it looks like Fateless is already starting to make that transition to build out that maintenance element, those folks on their team that is just going to be focused on keeping the game running properly, while other folks are looking at, what's to come in the future. So he's clicking on his champs and he's going through the account. We are consuming all that data and we are providing you guys, the gamer, with the detailed analysis. So one of the questions for the beta that's pretty juicy, I would say, is should the tower go up, ascend into the heavens, or go down, descend into like a hell? I think it should and will go down. Another content creator brought this out last night, but Aaron, the lore writer, is very passionate about an underworld feature and featuring the underworld bosses, and I think this would be a great way for that to happen. I'm not sure that it's going to happen like that, but it would be a great way for them to include that underworld piece. So we'll see if that's what they go with doing. Like I said, I've been a software release manager. I worked in Silicon Valley. I know all about the, potential for small changes to have a ripple effect through your, how much work or rework needs to be done. I think he says in his lessons learned about setting expectations for timelines for releases, and I think that only can say, like, we have a lot to do to get this game out. These gamers have a high expectation for this game. In the podcast, Sham mentions they have a 3-tiered approach to capturing gamers' momentary sentiments. This feedback loop is, do you love it? Are you neutral? Do you, meh, I don't care? Or do you hate it? And they built these feedback loops, this responsiveness, right into their design, right into their philosophy, right into their operations. That's something that's really cool, because I know a lot of us have been playing games. Your OG here has been playing games for a long time. And you hit these points in the game and you feel like you're talking into the wind. Like, this is frustrating. This is, confusing. This doesn't make sense. And there's just nobody listening. And that sucks, because then you just feel like, okay, I just got to stop playing the game. I don't want to stop playing the game, but I can't seem to, get a response. So they have built their responsiveness right into everything they do. Super impactful. They talk about taking out the Hindu, the Svarga faction. I agree with him. Not a risk worth taking. It stinks because this game, in my opinion, presses on this idea that gods can be kind of looked at objectively. But I think it was good strategic grounding by the team. I think they know their values, their principles, and their brand is really strong. They know their brand. They stuck to it, despite the lure of, that hockey stick style growth that's right out there for them. I think the restraint they shows maturity as a team, and the insight that, we can't chase every shiny object, and not everything that glitters is gold. So I'm going to pause right here. I'm going to pause right here on Dagonet. This is just a little bit of a teaser for the end, that speed meta. Dagonet here is our number 4 speed champ, 98 base speed, you can see there. Above average accuracy. So I immediately, he's an invoker. He jumped out at me as a obvious arena PvP type bomber, debuffer, maybe control. I'm not really sure how the accuracy is going to be used. I haven't seen his kit. But high speed, high accuracy looks to me like he might be a early arena favorite. Simon also then talks about commons and uncommons, and there's a question about, should we have them? I think what I see, and this touches on what I brought up in the beginning, is very deliberately Fateless is pushing down on power creep. Now, I still don't think uncommons and commons are going to be something you have end game or need to use, or you're not going to rank up an uncommon to 60 instead of an epic or a legendary. But, and I did leave them, the uncommons and commons, out of most of my statistical models, because your rare, your epic, your legendaries, this is the backbone of, your account and the teams you're going to build to beat content. But I think this is a really positive sign from Fateless that they're pushing down on power creep, which is going to give the game longevity, because power creep kills the fun in games. Even though it seems great to have stronger and stronger and stronger, it's like a black hole. The closer, it's exponential. The closer you get to it, the stronger the pull, and the harder it is to stop it. But if you can really minimize it early on and put things in place that always press down upon it. What's really powerful is you don't have to press out. You don't have to push out these crazy strong legendaries just to get people excited. Or in Raid's case, create mythicals, which worsens the power creep. Yeah, it's exciting, but at the same time, if you can do more to press value down to your rares and usefulness down to your rares, then it also undermines power creep in that way. I don't think commons and uncommons are going to be something you have to use outside of the very beginning. I still think you're going to want to get to legendaries and epics right as soon as you can, but I really like what they're doing here. Okay, so we are going to continue to play it. I am going to share some data we have. Known champions per faction right now in the game. We have the most populated faction is Olympus, has 25 champions we know about. Aru is right after it with 24. Asgard is 22, and Avalon is 21. Tian has got 5, that's the lowest. What faction do you like the best? OG, my favorite faction, Asgard. The Norse mythos. And I won't give away too much about OG's bucket list, but I love Freya. Oh, Freya. I think she might be my favorite character. Early looks. I love Hel. I think she's awesome. She's got good speed. She's got good accuracy. She's tied for the highest accuracy in the game. So Hel is awesome. Odin, Thor, Beowulf, Brumhild is going to be possibly a login champion. She's great. Loki, Lagertha, and Skadi are all tops in either accuracy or resistance or things like that. So let me know in the comments, which faction do you like? Because winter is coming and the faction to be with is Asgard. So let me know in the comments below, what faction do you align with? Which one do you like the best? All right. Without further ado, we're going to get into OG's bucket list real quick. We're going to pause and we're going to give you some stats because we love data. And OG's bucket list is these are the champions already that I am just dying to get, I would love to have, and they are getting thrown in the OG's bucket list. Who makes the cut? Well, pretty much all of the Aru legendaries that we know of are amazing. They're high HP, high defense, they're tanky, they're fast, they have high initiative. I definitely am looking for Ra, Isis, Anubis, and even Sphinx. We don't know Sphinx's stats, but it looks like Aru legendaries are going to be of very high demand. Hercules, obviously Simon is using Hercules, seems to love him. Hercules is top in HP. He's top in attack, top in defense. He is in the top 5 in accuracy. And basically, Hercules. Like, he's everywhere. He's top in a lot of areas. He's going to be good. So that's one to call out. Hercules is going to be good. Gilgamesh looks like he's going to be good. Dracula looks like he's going to be good. Another one we're going to talk about towards the end, Aphrodite and Pandora, 2 speed champions. How good are they? Another OG bucket list, Tutankhamun. He is a rare attack champion in Aru, but he has the third highest attack after Hercules and Ra. So even ahead of Beowulf, ahead of Anubis, and ahead of Shinigami, who those are your sort of attack champions in the top 5. So I like that. Green Knight. Green Knight looks awesome. Looks very well rounded. Izagami looks awesome. Oda Nobange is extremely strong. He has very above average stats in almost every area. So those are the OG bucket list champs that I'm looking for that I would love to add to my account. I also have all the top resistance, top accuracy, top defense, attack, HP champs. But what we want to talk about real quick is the new stat, which is initiative. How does this work? With speed. Initiative, as I know it, is the impetus to go first, to take the first step. So is it where you have the same speed? Initiative is the tiebreaker that determines order of the turns, or does initiative, if you have high enough initiative, does it allow you to cut in despite slower speed? How important is it? Does it go over 100 like speed does, or is it a number of 100? All of these things will be important for us to know in terms of how important initiative is and whether you want to build it, need to build it, or don't. So we'll get into that as we know more. Another interesting stat that doesn't show on here, but decreased defense. I'm calling this out now. I think this is a metric that's going to be really important. Here's why. Some of the early numbers I'm analyzing. The average or the max damage per turn for a level 1 champion that we know about is 1,000 damage. Roughly speaking, average for a level 1 champion is about 600 damage. A level 60 champion is 7,500 max damage and a 3,750 average. So we don't care so much about what the exact number is. We're looking for the ratios, the relationships between these numbers. So basically what we can derive from that is the difference between a level 1 and a level 60 character is about a 7.5 times multiplier. And that's on their max damage. So that's really important to notice, and I think decreased defense is going to be the difference maker to allow early champs, damage dealers to do the kind of damage they need to get past defenses and HP. So I think decreased defense is going to matter more in this game than maybe it has in previous games. And then, this is a big one, I think the secret sauce for this game, for really beating content, and you heard it here first, I think is your initial divinity. Because as I mentioned earlier, this is your ability, I believe, to use ultimate skills at will. So if you start out with initial divinity of 100, we're assuming this, that would be a full meter. Maybe it's not. Maybe you have to get to 200 divinity or 300 divinity, so you have to attack once or heal once or whatever it is. But then your ultimate will be ready for use. It's really important that your ultimates are ready for use as much as possible, sort of like cooldowns on skills, so that you have them all available. It allows you to start using ultimates, and then really the key secret sauce is chaining ultimates. For instance, if you had a team of 4 like this, having 4 ultimates go in a row, we'll call it the ultimate, would be the highest output of damage you could do, and perhaps there's multipliers where the chaining of turns and the chaining of ultimates increases damage. I imagine it will do more than just the sum of the parts. So this is where I think we are going to get really interesting. This is where we're going to get dynamic mid-game, late-game builds, is around the initial divinity and having those ultimates ready to use to chain together with the proper other champions to max out that. So that's what I think is the secret sauce. We'll see if it is or it isn't. Then Simon goes on to talk about clans. I have a very interesting suggestion I want to put out there for how I think clans should be organized so that they are better suited for command and control and delegation of clan work. So here's my idea. I propose a 40-person clan structure. I know Raid has 30, but here's why I'm saying 40. In the Marine Corps, it's pretty well proven that they go with a 1-to-3 leader to subordinate ratio. So a fire team leader has 3 fire team members, a squad leader has 3 fire team leaders, a platoon commander has 3 squad leaders, a company commander has 3 platoon commanders, a battalion commander has 3 company commanders. So this idea that individuals, the most efficient number that they could be managing directly is 3 other people. This could be really huge if you set up the clans so that there is a clan leader who has 3 assistant clan leaders. Each of those 3 clan leaders has 3 lieutenants, making 9 total lieutenants. Each of those lieutenants has 3 common clan members. That's 3 times 9, 27 common clan members plus 9 lieutenants plus 3 assistant clan leaders plus 1 clan leader. It equals 40 total people. Why is this important? Well, I think it helps with command and control. The clan leader can say, hey, assistant clan leader, can you ask a lieutenant or ask a few of your lieutenants to pull 2 or 3 accounts or teams together to go fight the siege, go do this, go do that. Because the clan is broken up into nice, clean units that are small and manageable, it will make delegating clan work easier. This is the other point that I would say I have a really interesting suggestion. In Raid, the way it works is you get clan rewards for doing clan quests, and you can go into the clan shop and buy special stuff with that. Awesome, great, I like it, but it's kind of disconnected. You got to go do this clan quest that's in another part of the game that doesn't really tie to your clan very much at all. Here's my suggestion. What if you can delegate the clan work, the work it takes to run and manage a clan, and if you ask anybody who is a high-level clan leader in Raid, there's a lot of work to managing, organizing the clan. Why not make the clan rewards focused on rewarding you for doing and delegating that clan work within your clan team? Here's an example to help you think of it. You're in a clan, and you're just a common clan member, you just started. Your lieutenant asks you, hey, and we'll get into this area here in a minute, but hey, can you go to the test area and do some team composition research on this new boss or challenge or something like that? Or can you go in and record a video of a team that can get past a certain point in content, and then we share that with the rest of the clan? Let's say, we're going to ask, hey, can you go give us some deep dive on what gear is best and why? Maybe they can do that and then share it with the clan, and they get clan points for that. And then they can go to the clan shop and buy stuff. It's just more tied, because otherwise you have to go do the clan quest, which is unrelated. Then you still have to do the clan work it takes. So why not just simply reward the clan work that they already have to do and make it all within that? Something definitely needs to be flushed out, but an interesting idea, I think, nonetheless. So also, I think rewards, I think Phaelus is pretty in touch with this, but I think rewards do not always have to be gear and shards and things that we like. Some rewards that could be really cool is just, hey, you're the person who discovers the next double Demithia unkillable team or the meta shift. That goes into your Hall of Fame or your record book as in your clan profile or your gaming resume. So for all times you can show, like, I'm the one who discovered the man-eater, blah 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 blah, or I was in the test area and I'm the one who came up with this, and you can kind of get that stamped on your permanent resume if you were as a gamer. That's an idea I really like. It could definitely tie into esports and gamers that feel like their achievement and their progress brings them even closer to, like, maybe professional gaming, or they really just want to take it seriously. Anyways, that segues nicely into a question that Simon receives about private lobbies. Also, this I think could be really cool because it takes the game out of the game and into your living room. So, like, imagine you're having a party at your house and you're projecting Godforge on your TV, and someone's like, hey, it's your turn, karaoke style, you're up, and you and your team have battles arena style against another team, and, winner stays, loser goes, or something like that, and you have a round robin set up where a bunch of the team, your friends are playing against each other to see who's going to win this. This could be a lot of fun. Maybe it doesn't work like that today. I don't know. Maybe I'm just an OG. I'm old. But that sounds like it could be a lot of fun. People are watching the fights, cheering it on. I know we're going to include, spectator models he mentions where, like, you can watch your clan members fight each other. We have friendly battles where you can just battle anybody. All of that sounds great. But I think it could be really cool if there was a way to sort of have an offline private lobby where you could build these sort of gaming or party type game setups. Could be really cool. Before we jump ahead, I do want to go back for a second. I missed one tiny comment I wanted to make right here. So Isolde this is a new character we're just finding out about in this video. She is paired with Tristane, of course, in their lore. They were a love that couldn't be, if you were, sort of like Romeo and Juliet. They came from different worlds and could not be together. But what's really heartbreaking, this could be our first champion needing a buff. I know she's a rare, but her HP, attack, defense, initiative, res, accuracy, every stat except for speed is below average. Every stat. So she's fast, and we'll talk about her in our speed meta discussion at the end, but otherwise, pretty terrible. Might need a buff. The other option, and I'm willing to entertain this, is that there is some synergistic effect when Tristane and Isolde are on the same team, and that makes up for her extraordinarily low base stats. That would be okay. That'd be acceptable as well. We don't know her kit per se, so we don't know if that's a thing. But just looking at the base stats, whew, this one is not going in OG's bucket list at the moment. Maybe our first buff. So, anyways, that and here's Icarus. I just want to make another point. Icarus, a rare. Look at the value, look at the quality. This is what I mean by fighting power creep, by pushing value down to the rares, usefulness down to the rares, to where they aren't just an extended uncommon. They're useful, they're needed for areas of the game. You see Hippolyta here. She has one of the highest base resistance, so you're gonna, and pretty decent defense too. So we'll get into all those stats, but just wanted to touch base on potentially our first champion needing a buff in Isolde. All right. So the other thing I think would be cool too, they talk about like lore and the stories. I love the stories. I would love to see Easter eggs woven into the lore and the story so that you can kind of guess, where the Easter eggs should be based on the direction Fateless is choosing, and you should be able to like figure that out. I think Aaron is doing an absolutely incredible job with the story. I'm all excited about it because, somebody who's a writer, I'm like, oh, I can feel the options, I can feel the excitement and the arc of the story. There's so many ways we can go with it. And those options, that flexibility is very powerful for a storyteller because you don't feel hemmed in to having to take a plot line that's or it's okay. You really can just go for the best plot line and the plot line that supports the gaming and the experience best. So Aaron, awesome job. I'm looking forward to the way the story rolls out. And then here we are at Shinigami. What a crazy weapon this guy's got here, huh? I think I'm gonna nickname him. It could be Theodore Roosevelt, FDR. I'm not exactly sure. I'm probably gonna get it wrong. But the quote: walk quietly and carry a big stick." Holy moly! Yeah, this is this guy. I know Hero is in work in progress up here as his nickname is, but maybe it should be walk quietly, carry a big stick, because this guy, I could just see him reaching out across the battle and just AoE swiping everyone with that thing. Really cool. He is a little bit of a glass cannon, low HP, but very high in attack, in the top 5-6 in attack. And again, one thing you can notice here is all of the champs that we've seen are base stats of 10% crit rate, 50% crit damage. That seems to be the average, and you're going to have to build crit rate, and you're going to have to build attack and speed. But here's the other key piece for us to note, is that looking across all the stats that we have currently, there is roughly a 2-to-1 resistance to accuracy ratio that we're seeing on average. What this means for you, why this matters, is if you do not build accuracy on your champs, you are not going to land debuffs. You are not going to land, turn control devices. You're not going to land these things because naturally the average champion you're going to face has a higher resistance than you have base accuracy. So you have to build accuracy. You have to build crit rate, or it won't work. And I think that goes in line with what we know about Simon as someone who likes to build gear sets and teams and optimize. You're going to have to be deliberate. You cannot just kind of phone it in. You've got to be really thinking through all your stats and making sure you hit certain thresholds. We will be providing you those thresholds and that information, but just wanted to touch on that as well while we have it. So he talks about spending in the game. And how do you know what it converts to and this and that? I'm going to break that down for you. That's called your bank account. And if you see X amount of dollars pulled out of your bank account and you have X amount of resources in the game, that's the conversion. That's how much it buys you. But really, what I want to say to that is, know your budget. Know what you're getting from the game and know what you're giving from the game, and in what currencies you're getting and giving. Maybe you're giving money, but you're getting emotional enjoyment, or you're building your self-esteem because you're achieving accomplishments. That is valuable, and maybe it's more valuable to you than $50 a month or $50 a week or whatever it is your budget is. I'm all good. I'm all about that. Simon mentions here that there will be areas that you really just can't spend your way through it. You need to use your knowledge. It's gated by knowledge and skill, not spend. I think that's awesome. As your OG, hey, I started gaming when free to play was the only way. There was no paid option. You couldn't pay to get ahead. You could try to find cheat codes, and if your friends knew them, that was social currency. You loved them, but otherwise, there was no free to play. And I think to use a Raid Shadow Legends example, I think a Dark Fae style boss is really cool, or something where the faster and the stronger you get, the more your weaknesses grow at the same time. So if you're not paying attention to the mechanics, you defeat yourself because you don't understand them. I don't think I'm going to be spending in the beta. It is not going to flow through to the main launch. I think I would prefer to just use a test server to showcase champs, but this gets into a recommendation that I know this is probably going to be a big ask, but I think this could be next level, amazing, god tier level thing to have in the game. Incorporating, and he does talk about a test area in the game, but I really think if you can go to that main screen and you can go into a little test arena area and have maybe 3 waves of stock enemies, and you can adjust your level and your awakening and different things like that, just like you would in a test server, and then you can try out and test characters either you don't have and you are working to get, which is awesome because you build ownership over these by using these characters and liking what they can do, and now you're like, okay, I'm excited to grind and get raw because I've seen what he can do. I've used him in this test server space. Nothing you do in the test server will flow through to your account or be progression based, but you can play with any character in the game at any time in that test environment inside of your thing. That would be amazing to building excitement towards new champions. I mean, obviously us content creators want to be able to showcase it for you, but we should be able to provide you our insights. That's what's valuable. What do we see from years and years of gaming that you may not see? So I think that can be huge. It reminds me of like a salesman saying to you, oh, you want to buy this flat screen TV? Well, how about this? Take it home for a week, and if you don't like it, bring it back. Who brings it back, right? Because once you get it in your house, once you're watching it, you own it. You feel a sense of ownership. You don't want to give that up. I think having this test server space inside of the game would be amazing for building this ownership of like, oh man, I see I can do this. I can get by this space with this champ. I've tested it. I can see it. Maybe you can set the waves to be a boss, different bosses. That would be cool. And you could practice. That ties into the clan activities. Now you could be practicing, doing research for a best way to do something, and then sharing it with your clan. Either sharing the video recording that you did in there or sharing the end results to the clan chat or something like that. But I think that could be massively cool. Anyways, moving along. So you've got OG's bucket list. There's some characters here that we are super excited about, and I've talked about them a little bit. I've talked about some of the folks that are really high in different stat areas that you're going to want. And Tutankhamun here is a big one. He has third highest attack in the game. He's only a rare. So there's Pandora as well, is definitely in the OG bucket list. One of the few over 100 speed. So we'll talk about her later in the video with our speed meta. She is looks to be very powerful arena champ here with her speed and her initiative and probably enough accuracy. She's above average on accuracy, but you'll have to build it so that she can land these things. One area, and we may just jump ahead real quick to get ourselves in Green Knight. Looks amazing. Beowulf, Leonidas, Bastet, all look amazing. Bastet's not too bad. The average speed is 92, so she's just a bit above it. This is showing some of the changes of the faction names, and he also shows us some of these champs. It looks like level 10, regardless of rarity, rare, epic, or legendary, at level 10, you need to, it seems, rank them up to be able to continue to level them up. I don't know if that's at level 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50, but it is not rarity specific. So in Raid, you don't have to rank up your legendaries until they get to 50, and then you rank them up once to get to 60. Obviously, your commons and uncommons, you got to rank them all the way up 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So it looks like all champs have to be ranked up that way. That also provides some greater longevity in the game. Like, you're not going to blow through the game as fast. I think they're really smart about pressing down on that and making a more gradual progression than Raid really went sort of up as fast as you could, and then you hit that cliff. And I think they're trying to avoid that. Very smart. Here is some great sequences he's showing, some battle sequences. I'm not going to touch too much on this. A lot of the content creators have provided some really good insights into like the look, the UI, the feel, all of that. I just want to offer one thing as a veteran with PTSD. This is a very fine-tuning optimization here. But for combat areas like this, if you notice color schemes, reds, orange is very active and exciting colors, get you blood pumping, get you into that higher stress combat environment. So awesome, great. What I would like is the finish screen when you are done the battle being something in green or a soft blue that tells my brain, tells my amygdala, okay, we are out of that higher stress combat mode and we are shifting cognitive functions to resource management or adventuring or problem solving, but tell my amygdala the fight is over. And I think that could be done with some really soothing blue, like soft blues or greens in a finishing screen that just lets you realize that the fight is over. You are transitioning to a different sort of activity. I like that. Anyways, take it for what you will. Simon gets a question here that he kind of says it's a weird question, but it's about AI bots playing on auto. Now, you're OG, I deal with AI and automation every day, but I am totally against a bot playing the game to optimize your gameplay. Because when I was growing up, yeah, we had cheat codes and that was fun, but it takes away from the game experience for you because the game experience is not designed for the bot. The bot does not care, have emotional connection to the game or nothing. So if you're just having the bot play the game the whole way, then you're missing out. You're cheating yourself on the reason to play the game in the first place. And if you look at it, we have bots in the game, right? Since I've been playing Sega Genesis, like, there was always a bot in the game. You had to play the computer. That's AI. So, there is AI in the games, right? If you want to do auto runs or if you want to do like a quick battle, that's AI computing what you did and then giving you the results. So there's AI in gaming, but why would you want the AI to do everything for you in the game? That defeats the purpose of the game even being made for you, a human, in the first place. So, anyways, I think AI can enhance the gaming experience, but I don't think it should replace humans, or else there's no point for the game. He talks about gear, like if you earn gear in one area and it's useful for you in another area, he says, no, gear is going to be more relevant. So where you earn it, it's going to be good for there. What is that? Well, cross-pollination of different areas and different gaming modes is smart to a degree, but if you are trying to force gamers to engage in a game mode that they don't enjoy and they wouldn't naturally engage in, then you're almost forcing work on them, and it sucks. They don't like that feeling. So I like that he's not tying, okay, you get gear from this area and it's only useful for over there, so you have to raise every area of your account to grow it. I think that's smart, and basically what Fateless is saying here is like, okay, instead of like maybe other games are giving you this medicine, this nasty tasting medicine, but they're like, okay, here's some sugar with the medicine, here's a benefit, here's a reward that makes the medicine, you'll do it. And that's one way to look at it. I think what Fateless is doing here is they're like, can we holistically live in a way or play in a way where we don't need this medicine anymore? That's awesome. They're being really creative in the way they're thinking around common gaming problems. Really great to see. So that they don't just arrive at the same place with the same pains and then assume, oh, we're going to be smart enough to solve those. They're really just trying to navigate to a place that doesn't even have those things at all. Really great to see. He also talks about who would be the employee of the month. As somebody who's owned their own businesses, owned their own companies, been a part of dozens of startup companies, I'll tell you from my experience, and I can see this in Simon's eyes, he's so proud of the team. I can see it. Everyone in Fateless is punching above their weight right now, every day. They're performing miracles all the time. They're being God tier themselves. And this is why the output we're seeing is so high quality. You can see it when Simon talks about it. There's an awe, there's a appreciation. He's just grateful, you can tell, to be a part of this, because I'm sure a few years back he could never have imagined that he'd be designing this game the way it is and how it's coming out. You can see it in his eyes that his inner child is just so happy about this, so happy that he got to play a big part in it. And so the employee of the month, in my opinion, is everyone just showing up every day, punching above their weight, pulling miracles out of their hat. That's what is producing this, and I think that's amazing, and it's rare. It's rare to see in companies, and it's rare to see in gaming companies, so really cool. Fateless has got a very strong brand or understanding of their brand, and they're using it as a rudder to guide their decisions through whether to pivot or persevere. I would say looking at their operations from the outside in, they're probably about 75 to 85% optimized as a company, because they're only going to get better. They are going to get more intuitive with flowing work from 2D to 3D to FX and what people are looking for or they need. That's all going to improve. The process is going to continue to get better and faster and more high quality, because it will just be their expected level. I think the biggest challenge for Fateless as a gaming company is going to be scaling their operations while not losing that quality control. That is the challenge for any company that scales. They'll be building a maintenance team, I'm sure, to help keep that game running, because after launch you've got that war room, you're getting trouble tickets, and you're identifying systemic trends. Again, we mentioned Fateless seems to have their feedback loops built in organically. They just are part of design, so they're going to want to be continuing to improve, and that's why I think it's going to just keep getting better. So why is that important to you? Get involved in this game now as quick as you can, because it is going to be awesome, it is going to be popular, and it is going to be worth going for this ride. So that's what I got to say about that. Some other areas I think where, because they're going to have more people. They're going to have people typing ones and O's. They're going to have 2D, 3D, and VX work. They're going to have all of this going on, and it's going to exceed what each individual can do. So hopefully they're leveraging AI and machine learning. Hopefully they're driving down their research times or developing, detailed and advanced scripting for their processes or for their character flows. All of this stuff, hopefully they're mining their own data sources so they can provide informed decisions back to themselves. But basically what you're seeing, and most people don't talk about this, but this is a game within a game. They're not only building the game, which is the product, but they are building the business behind the scenes. So that's a two-sided dance, and they're doing a really good job, in my opinion, of balancing all of those priorities and needs. One other thing to note here, if you see that Guan Yu is level 9, he still has room to be ranked up. And as I said, 10 seems to be the point where you have to rank them up to be able to continue to level them up. None of those stats look accurate. They just look like placeholders, so we're not using any of that information. But we will note as well, none of those characters have gear on them. They are just 6-star ascended, which means their initial divinity should be 100 hopefully, and they're using their ultimate. So this is why I think that Simon is focusing so much on the ultimates. He's testing it. He's making sure that that is the key piece, the secret sauce to being able to go deep into Godforge. All right, so he shows, he shows Hercules using his ultimate, gaining enough divinity by attacking and doing damage. He gains, Hercules gains the ether veil around his character, and that shows that his ultimate is available. So yeah, this is why I think that it's going to be so important. Divinity gain, I believe, is going to be based on class. So like if you're a brawler or a healer or an invoker or whatever, dealing damage. So here you see Hercules dealing damage increases his divinity, and boom, and then after he does enough damage, his character icon at the bottom will be glowing with an ether glow around it, meaning his ultimate is available to be used. If you had Guan Yu and the other characters also at that point, then you could start to chain your ultimates. There's only 2 opponents, so of course we're not at the content hard enough to probably justify it, but he's just testing out the mechanics and making sure it works properly. Here you see Hercules on fire, blue ether flames around his character at the bottom here, and right down here, and then he uses his ultimate. So pretty cool. Also, several of these characters, the Brawler class seems to be a place where, like Anubis has a combination of both attack and HP multipliers. So Hercules and Gilgamesh and a few of these other ones have sort of a double multipliers. These are going to be the stronger nukers in the game, but also tanky enough to take a punch and keep swinging and keep coming back. So that is important to note that we're picking out of the combat sequences here. You see he uses his skills. He's got his ultimate available. You don't have to use the ultimate, so you can wait and chain it with other ultimates when they're available. You can see the max level at 10 here. They're probably not deep enough into their playtesting to rank them up once and start pushing to 20. But that just shows a very slow, gradual progression, which is nice. It's going to increase the longevity of the game. You're not going to burn out and get done with everything. I think King Arthur's maybe suffering from that a little bit. And so here we are. We're going to pause at the end here, really, at Raw. And we are going to talk about our possible champs index list. We have an index of all the champs we've seen in the game, but we also have a list of possible champs that we've researched for the mythos, but we haven't seen them yet in the game. We keep those so that we can pair them against like sightings of new champs that we're not sure who it is. Here, this is something that's asked on every podcast, so I wanted to include it. Characters that would be cool to add to the game. So I want to give 3 characters that I think would be cool to add to the game, maybe 4. From the Virage faction, you have Dracula. So Van Helsing sounds like an obvious one for me there. Under the Olympus faction, I think Poseidon could be a cool one. We don't really have anyone that's sea-based, but we will talk about that a little bit more when we give the new faction recommendations as well. I'll get into that in a second, but Poseidon could be a really cool one. Another really cool one for the Olympus could be Cerberus, the 3-headed hound of Hades in hell. Why is that important to me? Well, I have 3 large Pitbull and Staffordshire Terrier dogs. So I have my own Cerberus. They're not 3-headed, but when they all cuddle together, it does kind of look like they are. So I would love to see Cerberus, Hades, pet there. Here's the real interesting question about Olympus. How brave is Fateless going to be? Are they going to include Uranus? Because there are going to be some great memes if they do that. But lastly, here's my 4th character I think should be added to the game that would be really cool, and that's Marduk from Ecker. I'm going to read you something real quick, just kind of like the research I pulled for Marduk. Marduk began as a minor deity in 3rd millennium BCE, associated with water, agriculture, and incantations in the city of Babylon. His name is derived from Damar Otu Ak, meaning bull calf of the sun god Utu. Initially, this links him with solar symbolism, although that kind of waned over time. Hammurabi and Hammurabi's code, if you remember, elevated Marduk to the head of the pantheon. He was just a nobody god. He replaced Enlil, the Sumerian god of air. Well, you gotta be doing pretty good if you replace a god of air as the chief deity. This shift mirrored Babylon's transformation from a backwater city-state to the capital of an empire. Kind of a coming-of-age story for a city. Marduk is key to the Enuma Elish, which is the Babylonian creation epic, where he, as a storm god of justice and order, right? Order, linked to fertility and agriculture, and he's also linked to Jupiter or Zeus in the astrological association. So he's like the head god in Babylonian. In his story, he defeats the primordial chaos goddess Tiamat. Boy, does this fit the storyline. Splitting her body in half to create the heavens and the earth, and using the blood of her consort, Marduk creates human beings to serve the gods. Gods grant Marduk 50 names. I believe power is in the number of ways you can be praised, called upon, and remembered for a god, so this cements his supremacy and legitimizes Babylon's dominance. In addition, there is a 13-day ritual, New Year festival, celebrating Marduk's victory over chaos. Does that sound like an event? Yeah, we could have Marduk's New Year event. The king of Babylon would go through a symbolic humiliation before Marduk's statue to reaffirm the divine mandate. Really interesting stuff. Last but not least, what factions would be really cool to add to this game? I think Maori or Polynesian mythos would be really interesting. There isn't a seafaring mythos per se. We've all seen Moana and Maui. There'd be Samoans. You'd have ocean creatures. It would be a seafaring mythos without guns, which is kind of tricky to find. I think it could be a really interesting one. Another option that I think could be really good and would work well is Native American. You have totems and spirit animals, and all of that seems like it would fit in very well without being offensive. So anyways, that is what we got there. We are going to wrap up the video here. And as he gets to the end, we will sign off here with the information you've all been waiting for. The speed meta for Godforge. Okay, so the average speed right now of all the stats we know, and we know, I think, roughly 33 character stats, assuming they don't change, or the ratios of them don't change in relation to other characters' stats. The average speed is 92. The average initiative is 91. The fastest base speed in the game, the fastest character we know about right now, and probably my favorite character, or one of my favorite characters for sure, definitely my favorite faction, 103 speed. We have Freya at number 1. You are going to want Freya. She is in my OG bucket list. So that's a big one. 102, Aphrodite comes in second. And there are 2 tied with 100 speed. That's Pandora and Isolde. We talked about how bad Isolde is in every other way, but she is quick. They're tied for third. At 98 speed is Izagami and Dagonet in a tie for fourth. And then at 97 is Shamash, which it looks like a defensive nuker, perhaps. So this is who is fast, but who is fast and good. Well, Freya stands out as the champ, who's not only the fastest, but she has above average defense, HP, and initiative. And I think she's going to really establish the meta for arena play, PvP, when the full game launches. Aphrodite, she moves at the speed of light. Anything you need to avoid your reflection, I guess. But she is one of only 4 known champions over 100, or 3 known champions with 100% initiative to go with her top speed. So I also think, as we learn more about how initiative and speed work together, she screams go first, if you're asking OG here. Pandora is triple digits in speed, but she's below average in HP, attack, defense, and res. She is above average in accuracy, and she's an invoker, so I think we're going to be seeing her landing debuffs and control devices and getting out ahead to do that. Isolde, as I said, she may be tied with Pandora in speed, but that is about it. She is below average in everything else, and possibly, as we mentioned, racing to win the award for the first champion needing a buff. Izagami looks amazing. She's tied also for the highest base accuracy in the game with Hell. Dagonet, who we talked about earlier, is 4th in base speed with 98. Looks to be a possible bomber, debuffer, control champ in the arena. And last, but certainly not least, Shamash, this defensive damage dealer, pretty quick as well. Definitely going to be an OG's bucket list. But that's it for us today. We look forward to talking to you all here real soon. Take care of yourself, and remember, play smarter.